In this tutorial, I will show you how to make a granny square bow. You can use different types of granny squares and different weight yarn to achieve the bow style you'd like. You can also make a smaller version by only working 6 squares together instead of 8. I think these bows would look super cute on a bag or on a top as well. In this video, I will be showing you how to make a hair bow using a traditional granny square and 3-weight cotton yarn. I'm using Premier Hipster Cotton and Cotton Sprout. These yarns are linked in the description below. You'll also need a 4mm hook, a barrette or clip or rubber band, some scissors, a darning needle, and a little bit of hot glue. The stitches used in this pattern include the magic ring, double crochet, and slip stitch. We'll also be using the join as you go method. So let's get started. First up, we are going to be making 8 granny square centers. So for round 1, make a magic ring and chain 3. This counts as your first double crochet. Then work 2 double crochet into the magic ring. And chain 1. Next, work 3 double crochet and chain 1. Repeat that 3 times for a total of 4 clusters. And end with a chain 1. So now we have our 4 double crochet clusters. You can pull your ring tight and then slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to join. Now cut your yarn and weave in your ends. Pause the video here and I'll meet you back once you have finished 8 granny square centers. For round 2, attach your yarn in any chain 1 space and chain 3. This counts as a double crochet. In that same space, work 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 3 double crochet. This will create your first corner. In each chain 1 space, work 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, creating the other 3 corners of round 2. That's corner number 2, so skip over to the next chain 1 space and work corner number 3. and work your final corner in that last chain 1 space. And slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to join. Now you can cut your yarn and weave in your ends. You'll be adding the second row to all 8 centers. So pause the video here and meet me back once you have all 8 completed. Depending on the yarn you're using, you might complete round 3 differently. I will be working 3 double crochets per cluster with the chain 2 in each corner. But if you have a heavier yarn or you want your squares to be lighter, you can also work 2 double crochets instead, adding an extra chain 1 between the clusters on each side and a chain 2 in each corner. Here's an example of a bow I completed with 2 double crochets in that 3rd round. We'll start with your first square. For round 3, attach yarn in any corner space and chain 3. This counts as a double crochet. Then work 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet in that same space. Then work 3 double crochet in the space between clusters. Then in your next corner, you'll work 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. Then in the space between clusters, work 3 double crochet. Repeat this 2 more times, working 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet in the corner spaces, and 3 double crochets in the space between clusters on the sides. And slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to join. Then you can cut your yarn and weave in your ends. For our second square, we will work our join as you go. But first, start by attaching your yarn in any corner space and chain 3. Then work 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 3 double crochet in the same space. And work 3 double crochet in the space between clusters. And in the next corner space, work 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. And work 3 double crochet in the space between clusters. And in this corner, you are only going to work 3 double crochet and chain 1. Now we'll begin to join into the square 1. So first grab square 1 and you'll insert your hook into a square 1 corner and slip stitch. Then you'll finish that square 2 corner with 3 double crochet. Next, find the space between clusters in square 1 and work a slip stitch. Then work 3 double crochet in the space between clusters of square 2. Then slip stitch into the next space between clusters in square 1. Work 3 double crochet in the square 2 corner. Then slip stitch into the square 1 corner. Chain 1 and work 3 double crochet back into that square 2 corner. Now your 2 squares are joined. To finish, you'll work 3 double crochet in the next space between clusters and then slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to join. You'll continue working the rest of your squares the same way you just worked square 2. However, you are going to be flipping sides. When you're finished with all 8 squares, the middle 4 will be facing right side up, and the left 2 and right 2 will be facing wrong side up. We do this so the right sides will all be facing up when we form the bow. Go ahead and start your 3rd square, repeating what we did for square 2. Pause here and I'll meet you when we're ready to join the squares. So we just finished working 3 double crochet in that 3rd corner and we chained 1. You'll grab those first 2 squares, flip them over so the wrong side is facing up, and then find that bottom right corner. That is where you will work that first slip stitch to join. You can follow along as I finish this square, and you can repeat this for squares 4, 5, and 6. Pause here and I'll meet you back once you've attached your 6th square. So now you should have 2 squares facing the wrong side and 4 squares facing the right side. To work squares 7 and 8, we'll repeat square 2 once again, flipping back to that wrong side. So pause here and I'll meet you back once you've attached that 8th square. Now that we have all 8 squares attached, we are ready to turn this into a bow. We'll start by cinching between squares in these 3 places, every 2 squares. Then you'll match up these spots when you fold them, and it creates a little bow. We'll start by cinching together the pieces on the end. So to do this, thread some yarn onto your darning needle, and then run this darning needle through some of the stitches between those squares. Once you make it through the end, you'll make sure you leave just a little tail on either side and you can cut your yarn. Then flip it over and tie a knot. Doesn't have to be too tight, but you just want it to be slightly cinched together. And go ahead and repeat that on the left side as well. When you're done with the 2 on the side, you can weave in these ends and cut that yarn. Finally, you can cinch together the 2 center squares, but don't cut your yarn. Now it's time to form the bow. With the right side facing up, fold the left 3 squares to the back, matching up the cinched sections. Using the long end of the yarn, secure by wrapping or sewing. Position the bow like this, and then repeat by matching up the cinched piece at the back. Then once again, you'll secure by wrapping that long tail around or sewing it. For added security, you can also sew through this area. Position your barrette at the back of the bow. I won't be doing this in this video, but I recommend adding a little bit of hot glue to the back of your barrette to help it stay in place. You'll also secure it by sewing it or wrapping yarn around it, and I'll show you how to do that. My barrettes have these 2 holes on either side, so I'll be securing it with yarn there as well. Now this is the space that you're going to be feeding your yarn through. You can long yarn tail, cut it a pretty decent length. You want it long enough to wrap several times around. I like to use my darning needle so it's a little easier to feed it through. Again, hopefully you have secured this already slightly with some hot glue so it'll stay in place. You can simply feed it through, hold it in position, and wrap it around. Alternatively, you can also feed it through and sew it through the center of the bow. Take some time to add some extra security where you feel like you need it most. But other than that, you are done. This concludes this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on social media. Bye!